As we've discussed in previous Q&A sessions, we've talked about basically the reactivation of new systems, the tri-wave frequency, and many more. And as it pertains to the elements, you've mentioned that there's diamond blue plasma being re-entered into our experience. So my question is, can you share from your lens of perspective, knowing that everything has such an infinite expression, how the diamond blue plasma is manifesting what in the body, and specifically, like we talk about the elements comprising of everything in this existence, but in the body we can look at earth comprising the physical body. So like this, can you also share like a little bit of the wind, fire, space, all the other elements, and then also how the diamond blue plasma expresses itself in our body as well?
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So the elements, although we see them as being separate as earth, air, fire, water, ether, and now the addition of diamond blue plasma. And when addition is brought forth as as a way of expressing it, it has always remained within the quantum fabric, participating in the higher dimensional bandwidths of expression of Gaia and humanity. And yet through the many layers of what's taken place through the sort of the downgrading, if you will, of the collective consciousness and brought into this lower speed of participation within third density, it was no longer accessible or relevant to the expression of physical nature here. Although, again, remaining within the quantum fabric and awaiting certain frequencies, solar codes, the reactivation and connection of the universal source grid, and so forth. Many different components have led to the re-entry or the now once again accessible participation in this diamond blue plasma, known as the sixth element. And so again, we see and we kind of open up and we separate for the purposes of knowing each one of the elements uniquely as earth, air, fire, water, ether, and diamond blue plasma. And yet they work as a unified field of one, participating, and igniting and relying on one another to hold the creational codex of so many levels and layers of existence within and upon Gaia, including within the template of humanity. So there are lots of different stages of entry and evolution and participation and facilitation of this particular element of diamond blue plasma. And it's meeting humanity as all things do, and all other aspects of creational existence here within and upon the Gaia, where it is within its bandwidth, right? Within its collective bandwidth. But then as we also recognize and see, due to the unique nature of everybody's blueprint, everybody is oscillating, igniting, awakening, and sending at different rates and in different variations and so forth. So this to say, on a collective level, the participation of the re-entry and igniting of this diamond blue plasma can be unique to each individuation, and yet there are some general levels of participation that are taking place here and now as well. One of the ways in which it comes through to participate is that it holds a space, a plasmic field of stabilization that allows for the other elements within the unified elemental field to receive the certain frequencies of the original creator codex that come through our sun, which is a portal and representation and access point to the frequencies of the central sun of all that is. So it acts as a medium, if you will, and a conduit and a stabilization, a field of stabilization, so that as all the variables that are in participation and taking place with the reconstructing of grids and timelines and the time matrices and the infinite systems that are in the flow of reconfiguration, if you will, that creates a system of, for many, a felt sense of chaos. The diamond blue plasma comes through to hold a greater field of stabilization, to allow for the resurrection of the crystalline blueprint of the elements of earth, air, fire, water, ether to come into greater and more efficient upgrade, if you will. Of course, we know the physical body is of the earth, right? We are the children of the earth. We are of the earth. We are earth, air, fire, water, ether, and now diamond blue plasma. So how it comes in to participate specifically within the human form is, of course, varies from one person to the next based on their blueprint, based on what level of access and potential they hold within their ethereal DNA and carbon-based DNA, which is, of course, in the flow of transition, right, into matching and coming into and bridging into greater access of our crystalline nature, right? So as this diamond blue plasma flows in and flows through, it comes in through many different formats. It comes in through water, it comes in through the sunlight, it comes in through the air, through the breath, right? To further engage. It's now part of the unified field of the elements once again in their greatest expression. So it is not separate of, it is woven in and through, and it's holding again a stabilized field so that as to allow for the highest expression and resurrection of those elements within all different systems of creation here, including the human template, the human body. So it comes through and it ignites and it holds and it meets each one of us where we are within the conscious directing of our own unique evolution here. And it further facilitates as a bridge to allow for the melting away of the densities and programs that are held within the carbon-based DNA that hold it in a lower vibrational bandwidth of participation. And yet, as we know, yes, there are certain blueprints where there is very little conscious participation in one's evolution of the physical, mental, emotional, and spirit body, but those blueprints are very few and far between. As we know, most of us would not have it any other way, as other than to go through all the layers of participation and awareness of the fractals of, let's say, traumas or experiences that are ready to be witnessed, to be brought forth, to be integrated, right? So each and every time that we come into a place of disentanglement from lower vibrating energies of, lower frequencies, let's say, that fall on the spectrum of fear, we are engaging in and igniting the potential of how the diamond blue plasma then is able to stabilize and harmonize that which we consciously directed to activate within our crystalline nature. So as we're participating and doing, breath and meditation and all these different ways in which we access the fractals of ourselves that have been held out in the outfield, let's say, of our hologram, entangled in different systems of fear and separation. As we bring those fractals of our life force energy in and we disentangle and release the lower vibrational frequencies that have been holding them, in our own system, our own quantum fabric, we then create greater efficiency and greater participation and of this diamond blue plasma and its most exalted functionality at different stages of the collective evolution, at different stages of portal access and solar participation. We will see more and more and more layers of its potential igniting on a more collective basis. And that's happening right now, actually, greatly through the month of October, specifically, and really uniquely through each and every linear month to come. And yet there is a very significant series of astrological events and portal accesses that are taking place that are further facilitating the igniting of this diamond blue plasma. Additionally, have been shown that there are 12 elements in total, and that the other 6 elements will be resurrecting and returning through this, what we now refer to as the golden age of ascension or inscension, this time, the age of full transparency, right? So more to come, and to ignite and to stabilize what we most refer to collectively, it seems, as the transition from third density into the higher octaves and bandwidths of participation within the fourth, fifth, sixth density and beyond. So these additional elements have many infinite systems of participation and ways in which they assist humanity and Gaia's evolution and returning back to to the full expression of the monadic template. And together they hold the unified field of one, and they hold a stabilization, a greater stabilization, to assist in this huge leap and transition out of the lower densities of first through third into the greater and more stabilized foundational system of fifth, sixth, and beyond. Yeah, I think what I'm hearing is there's some level of our conscious participation, perhaps, more there's some level of the collective body of humanity right now that's in connection with the full spectrum of the 12 elements, right? And not in a way in which is likely in the forefront of conscious awareness. And also for them to come into the greater participation of what is perceived as our physical existence interpretation here, before the certain levels of transformation and foundation have been built, would not serve the greater purpose of the evolution of humanity, because there wouldn't be the support system and the foundation and the bandwidths of stabilization and harmonization to even interpret or hold the frequencies of them here. So even from what I'm hearing and seeing and witnessing right now, even when they come into facilitation or greater facilitation and participation over the next, let's say, linear decade of time, they still will come in a way of engagement, just as earth, air, fire, water, ether, and diamond blue plasma do at this point, to meet humanity's consciousness and the collective template, of consciousness where it resides. So in other words, each one of the elements is a massive and infinitely expanding consciousness domain as well, and participates in the different dimensional ranges of, let's say, 1st through 12 uniquely. So when let's say humanity reaches a collective foundation of the 5th density, at this point, from my vantage point in this now moment, the 12 elements will be accessed, but still only to whatever degree and bandwidth is relevant to the foundational format or infrastructure, if you will, of that fifth density, of that 5th dimension. And yet again, there are specific beings, as there are specific beings right now incarnated, that will have different ranges of participation beyond what is held within the foundational framework of, let's say, the 5th dimension, being the what is often referred to as the new earth, right? The new collective bandwidth, the new Gaian bandwidth of field of resonance, right? Field of consciousness held. Yeah, I think that's how it can come through right now.